Okay. Jordan, what the fuck? Jesus. What the hell? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I just want to run through your list, starting with Guardians one more time.
Yeah.
Just let's run through that real quick, and then you need to.
11. Is it 10?
Okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy is 10. What is wrong with you? Okay.
It just was an average superhero movie to me. Like nothing from it blew my mind.
I would have headed pretty close to where Jordan was if it wasn't so unique.
Yeah, I would agree. It was definitely a unique movie.
And if you don't hold the same value in the uniqueness of a movie compared to the rest of the series, then I understand.
Don't get me wrong, like great movie, you know.
Yeah,
just,
I got you. Okay, it's just blew my mind. It's my number one.
Yeah.
Can we go through everyone's number one again just one more time? Because I don't remember.
Civil War.
Avengers 1.
Civil War.
Okay, Guardians. Okay, and we all had less in last place, so that's easy. All right, so, and then, okay, what did you have after Guardians?
Avengers.
Avengers at 9. Okay, so I guess my main
that
question...
that was the one that I was surprised at so much.
I guess my main question for you is
but you guys all
why
kind of had it
is, well, I mean, I have Avengers at 4.
I had Avengers at 4.
and I had it at 1.
My question for you is why do you like Age of Ultron better than the first one?
I liked the introduction to the new superheroes.
Okay.
And Vision's character.
Vision.
Now going off of that, I hated Vision in Civil War.
Okay.
Like my least favorite character in that movie. But I loved him in Age of Ultron. And that whole idea of Jarvis kind of dying, being absorbed in this new body and all this stuff. So, that kind of concept is what drew that movie higher than.
Okay. That's okay. I remember what Age of Ultron was now. Yeah, I hated that. I thought that was stupid.
That's interesting.
I don't like what's his face Vision. I think he's OP and
he's very OP.
There shouldn't be a series after he's in it.
Yeah.
There's no reason. Like he could just do it all on his own.
Exactly, and he does it.
Yeah.
It's just.
Which I know that's because that's the type of character he is, but no, it's stupid. I don't like it. and I don't really like the new characters that they have brought in.
Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm a little torn on Vision because on the one hand I agree he's kind of like a Mary Sue on the Avengers right now, like Thor's hammer, except now they don't have the excuse that he lives in space. Because that's why he's not there in Winter Soldier. That's why he's not there in Civil War, is because you can't exactly put a god on either side of that fight and call it a civil war anymore.
Yeah.
Now you're calling it a minor inconvenience. Can you imagine that? Captain America, the minor inconvenience?
Captain America 4, the minor inconvenience, please.
Yeah. I don't like characters who are the good guys who refuse to do what needs to be done in order to remove evil. He made an exception with Ultron because, Ultron nearly destroyed him and was going to destroy the world, and so for the greater good he had to destroy Ultron. But when it comes to, smaller things that are still potentially fatal, I don't feel like he's going to pull the trigger. One thing I do like about Civil War is that they show that the longer he's around, the more human he becomes. So with that, maybe we'll see some more characters along in the future. But when he's first born, I can see where he would be a very polarizing character.
I'm interested to see what happens with the whole Infinity Stone story.
And does he survive?
Yeah.
Right.
Does Thanos need that Infinity Stone?
Mm-hmm.
And will Vision have to die in order to create a bigger conflict for Infinity War Part 1 or 2? Probably Part 2.
Probably the last one he's going after is that'll probably be the last one.
The Mind Stone. Yeah, because I know the Gauntlet only needs 4, but he probably wants all 6, and we shouldn't have an Infinity War Part 2 unless shit really hits the fan at the end of Part 1.
Somebody's dying.
So I'm calling a Vision death. Either that or Vision loses his powers, or at least the majority of his powers.
Sacrifices himself or something.
Or sacrifices himself to save a Scarlet Witch, or to save the Earth, or to do something.
Or destroys the Mind Stone.
Because not all of these superheroes are making it out of this universe. I know
Yeah.
that Joss Whedon is very selective over his deaths, but I'm saying that Vision does not survive the series. I don't think he does.
Okay, my thoughts on Vision?
Yeah.
Controversially, I guess. I'm a big Vision fan, sort of. Like, I really enjoy Vision a lot as a character. I find him fascinating. I don't agree with everything he does, but I find that him very interesting as a character. In Age of Ultron, he was great. I really liked him in Civil War. His actions made me more on Team Cap's side, because I'm Team Captain. Anybody else want to give what team they were on?
I didn't really have
Iron
to.
Man.
Iron Man.
Team Iron Man.
Yeah, I probably would have said that.
Okay, I'm alone here. I'm on Team Captain, and Vision was the one who really pushed me over the edge on that one. But I liked it. It made his choices in the movie made Civil War a better movie, I think. I mean, I know you didn't like him, but I didn't agree with anything he did, but I'm like...
No, he did like Vision.
No, in the second one.
I liked him in Age of Ultron, but not in Civil War.
Oh, okay.
Just because he didn't do anything, I felt like.
I think the choices he made the conflict more interesting in Civil War, so I liked Vision because of that. Okay.
I feel like he could have just ended that Civil War with like one mind sweep.
Look what he did to Rhodey.
Exactly.
And that's going to be interesting, because how much guilt is he going to have about what he did to Rhodey?
Yeah.
But
How much? Yeah. Is
War Machine, he paralyzed him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because he was distracted because he was thinking about Scarlet Witch or what have you, and then now he's paralyzed somebody and he's sworn to do good.
Yeah.
And this man was, for all intents and purposes, pretty innocent.
They were on the same team in the fight, too.
Yeah.
Because he missed.
Yeah, he missed the shot.
And
I
so
think that's interesting.
we'll see where it goes. I'm not against him, but I do agree that he is a little powerful at this point. I want to go back to Guardians of the Galaxy for a second.
Okay.
Though. The fact that you have that rated so low, I just want to explain why I have it so high, maybe a little bit better. Because I understand where you're coming from, like maybe it's too silly of a movie, and it's just not your cup of tea. For me, Guardians of the Galaxy, I went into that movie solely because it had the Marvel tag on it. And in fact, that's probably the only reason they made the movie is because they needed more characters. I remember going with a friend of mine, and we walked in, no expectations. We were like, who are the Guardians of the Galaxy? Second scene of the movie, Star-Lord. Who? And I'm just like, yes.
Star-Lord, man.
Yes. This is going to be great. And this was when Chris Pratt was first emerging. Like, this was his first role outside of Parks and Recreation. And now Chris Pratt is everywhere. He's, in my opinion, going to be the new Harrison Ford. He actually is going to be the new Indiana Jones, if you want to take it that far. So, watching this movie, it ended up being Avengers in space, which sounds absolutely ridiculous, even though I'm sure they're going to end up there eventually, but in what was the main conflict, the central conflict of Avengers, other than Loki trying to destroy the world, the character development was how are these people who are so vastly different going to come together and work in order to accomplish a greater goal. And they're in space.
Everything's better in space.
So,
False.
Avengers in space. It sounds so tongue-in-cheeky. That movie did not take itself seriously, but it did not get too silly, in my opinion, because it still was serious when it needed to get serious. It still had a great message of family and friendship.
That thing's at stake.
It had quite a bit at stake. The fate of the world. Maybe not this world, but other worlds. Many worlds. The antagonist, although they did the typical superhero new antagonist, even though this is the 10th movie in the series.
Villain of the week kind of thing.
Yeah, villain of the week. Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Villain of the week, Ronan. I bought into it. I bought into it almost immediately, and he was pretty terrifying. And then you also get to see more of Thanos, who is obviously going to play a larger role going forward. You learn about the Infinity Stones, and you can start to tie all these things together from Marvel movies past. You've got the Mind Stone from the Ether. You've got, or not the Mind Stone, but the Infinity Stone from the Ether. You've got the Tesseract is going to be another Infinity Stone. You've got the Scepter that's going to be one, and then you've got the one that they have in the movie. I don't even know what that one is. Purple.
Yep.
Whatever. But
The purple one.
But all of a sudden, you just got all these things lining up,
That's
and I went into this movie expecting nothing, and everything came out of it. Like at the end, when Rocket Raccoon was like, "Wait, so we can't take anything from anybody." Nope. John C. Reilly, by the way. John C. Reilly. Nope, can't do that. That's illegal. What if I want it more than the person who has it? Nope, still illegal. And then Drax. What if someone is doing something irksome, so I decide to remove his spine? That's murder. One of the worst crimes of all. So still illegal, and then he's just walks away. What have you? That movie just hit all the right buttons and did all the right things based on the kind of movie it was. And like I said before, that's why I ranked Ant-Man lower, because you can only have so many tongue-in-cheek style movies. Ant-Man was still a great movie,
Yep.
but it was not the first time that Marvel had done it. And
It had a few flaws in Ant-Man.
And yeah,
The love story, or the father-daughter story was kind of forced or whatever.
it was a little,
Yeah,
a couple. I remember watching it the first time, like,
Yeah,
it was a little cringe-worthy.
not great.
But I still ranked it up there.
and then I don't know, Ryan, do you want to talk about our theory about the end of Ant-Man quickly?
The theory at the end of Ant-Man, remind me.
So basically, I feel like someone up top at Disney decided that the end of Ant-Man was going to be too complicated for the general audience to figure out.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to try and talk about it.
Yeah.
Marvel's done by Disney.
Marvel's owned by Disney now.
Yep.
They bought it right before the Avengers 1. So they made Avengers, and that's your favorite. The only one not made by Disney that you had super high was Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
So they're doing it right. They're hands off, basically. They're just
let Marvel do this.
They just raking the money off.
they just rake in the money, but they also pay the money to make the better movies.
I can appreciate it.
But anyway,
They're the
so
accountants.
the theory for the end of Ant-Man.
Okay, we think in Ant-Man, just the way it was edited felt a little wonky. When Ant-Man shrinks, it just goes
Quantum.
subatomic.
Subatomic.
We think he was actually gone for maybe months, or weeks at least.
Yeah.
Because the little girl, his daughter, she was standing up when he starts to shrink like crazy, and then when he finally somehow manages to come back, she's in bed, and we think they just cut it weird and edited around the scene just because they thought it was going to be too complicated. So we think he was actually gone for weeks or years or more months, or probably whatever. And so at the very end, when he's talking to Michael Douglas about it, and the time passed real quick for Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas's wife can still be alive, and that's where the sequels, the Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is what the wife's name was, the Wasp. So that's kind of what we think. We think it was going to be too complicated for the average Joe to get. So they cut that part, but that's what we think it is.
Yeah, and even when he's talking to Michael Douglas, he says, you were gone, but then you came back. That wouldn't imply that he was gone for a few minutes. And even the way, you said the girl was sitting on the bed, and then the dad was sitting there, and everything was all hunky-dory. If my house just exploded, I'd probably, bring her outside at that point.
She wouldn't be in bed.
But then they just had the stepfather just kind of say, there's a hole in the roof.
Easy thing to reshoot.
Yeah, a really easy thing to reshoot. They didn't even have the little girl in that shot. They just had him kneeling next to a bed.
Bring him back to the house, by the bed, boom, done.
And I would have liked it better the other way.
Me too.
And I just kind of want some confirmation from someone that that's what happened, because it's really consistent with what they were talking about earlier in the movie, and then, like you said, it's very wonky how they filmed it. So that knocked it down a couple stages for me, just because it didn't flow right for me the first time I watched it. But maybe that was just me and a select few other people that felt that way. So
I thought it was good enough to put at number 4 right now. Guardians.
yeah, and I would never take it away from you,
Yeah.
because it's still a great movie.
I really like Ant-Man. Okay, was there anybody else who had Avengers 2 above Avengers 1? Or was that just
I had Avengers 2.
Yeah,
No,
that's
just him.
Okay.
I think we
Okay.
actually, all the rest of us had Avengers at number 4.
Yeah, I
or
did.
you and I did, and then you had it at 1.
Yep.
So,
Okay, Jordan, can you go through the rest of your list from Avengers up? Because there's another weird one.
So I got Iron Man, Thor 2, Captain America 1, Avengers 2, Ant-Man, Iron Man 3, and Captain 3.
Okay, the other one I want to talk about was Thor 2.
Well, I think we should just make the conversation.
Thor 2 is bottom.
I was gonna make the conversation like this: which one's better, Thor or Thor 2?
Thor.
Thor 2.
Thor.
Interesting.
So I thought that we were evenly split on this. I'm actually pretty sure with a couple of you guys, we have them switched. I have Thor at 9 and Thor 2 at 11.
Exactly.
I have Thor at 12.
Yeah, I remember. I think we had the bottom 5 exactly the same.
We were
or something
very
like that.
close.
I have Thor at 12 and Thor 2 at 10.
Yeah, so pretty darn close. You guys care to explain why you think Thor 2 was better than Thor?
Go ahead.
Minute apiece.
I don't know. I just, in general, I think it was just an overall more action-packed movie. And that's just the genre that I go to, is the action movies.
Okay.
And so if a movie's gonna have more action, then I'm generally gonna like it more. So that's kind of my reasoning behind it, is that from what I remember, Thor 2 had more action. And just, I don't know, the scene, is it Thor 2 that has a scene with Loki that he, gets stabbed?
Yep.
That's true.
His fake death.
Yeah. I
Totally real death.
I think that scene right there put it above 1 for me.
I really like that. I love that scene just because it tricked me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Anything with Loki is gold.
Yeah.
Anything with Loki is gold.
So,
He's amazing.
Which-
I guess that's my.
that's a carrying thing throughout the entire series. Is I'm torn between being okay with it and being very, very annoyed with the fact that he is still around. Just because either he's still around or he should be destroying everything or running everything. There shouldn't be this middle ground of
He's a complex character.
him being absent in the last how many movies.
Well, he's also in space.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked to Thor a whole lot.
True. But
We
I
don't know what's going on in Asgard.
Yeah.
And plus, he's a master manipulator. He's what, the god of mischief?
And that is his, I guess, his personality. So it would make sense. But that's just something that's kind of, I don't know, it irks me.
Yeah. So, I kind of understand the more action-packed argument. I would never take that away from anyone. The reason that I like Thor 1 better is because first of all, I think that Thor 2 absolutely wasted Christopher Eccleston.
I will 100% agree. He's the worst villain in the entire series.
Who was that?
He exactly. He was the head dark elf. I don't even remember his name.
Malakath or something.
Malakath.
He's completely wasted.
Completely wasted. Christopher Eccleston is a fantastic actor.
He was Doctor Who.
Thor 2 is the Dark Elf?
Yep.
Yeah, that sucked.
And so they wasted Christopher Eccleston and they turned the intern into a complete joke. It was funny before when she was doing her intern stuff and she had a joke every now and again. They made it her character in the second one. All she had was jokes, and then the intern had the intern. And I mean, it's kind of funny, but it got a little old in my opinion. Natalie Portman didn't even seem like she wanted to be there.
She didn't. Can confirm. She did not want to be there.
It did not seem like she cared one bit.
Sucks because I love her.
Now in Thor 1, I liked it because that superhero movie was a little bit different than others, but it was kind of like Iron Man in that it was a redemption story. Thor had been gifted everything his entire life, lost it all, and had to claw his way back up to the top. Now, Iron Man's happens in a cave, and then, he's basically back where he was before, but then decides to use his power for good. Thor's entire movie was about him trying to find himself. He was trying to find his honor. He was trying to find who he needed to be for his homeworld of Asgard, to be king. But that wasn't what his goal was. He just realized he needed to get better. It was a redemption story, and it was tongue-in-cheeky. I think they had a part, it was Jackie Chan, Xena, and Legolas walking down the street.
Oh, yeah.
You finally get to see more of S.H.I.E.L.D. The rednecks trying to move the hammer was hilarious.
That was good.
I just really like the way that the movie is set up as an introductory movie, because like Josh said, I thought the whole thing was going to be in space. And then it was on Earth, it was humanized. They only had one shirtless scene with Chris Hemsworth.
Shame.
I liked that movie overall quite a bit better than 2, and I would put 2 in a classification below.
A tier below.
A tier below.
And I do.
A tier below Thor 1. Because I like that redemption story. I like his character evolution, and I like it when a character has to fight his way back to the top.
I think kind of what you said about it being more on Earth than in space. I think that's why I ranked it lower, is because I was expecting it to be more, in space in Asgard.
Thor in space.
And, because more of his background there,
Okay.
rather than the whole
Sort of stuck in a tiny town in Nevada or wherever.
But I love seeing him on Earth, trying thinking that he's super strong and then just not.
Where are you going?
Surprised.
50 miles west of here. Just walking down the street.
Yep.
It reminded me too much of Superman and the whole came to Earth and to figure out his superhero powers on Earth and stuff like that. So.
Never seen it.
But he knew that he lost his powers.
Yeah.
So it's similar, but still different. I don't know, Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Well, why I like Thor 2 better?
Yeah.
Thor 2, pretty much it all boils down to the third act. If you guys know me, I love a good schlock fest. I love movies that are just...
Schlongfest.
No, schlock fest. There's a difference.
Schlongfest.
Schlock fest is just a ridiculous movie, like A Nightmare on Elm Street 6, A Texas Chainsaw 7, An Alien vs. Predator Requiem. You know, just a ridiculous movie that is just
the middle of Gremlins.
Gremlins.
Our scene of Gremlins.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. SpongeBob, Sponge Out of Water. Just something that is so ridiculous and goofy, and it's just fun. It doesn't have to match the rest of the movie tonally, but that is like one of my favorite things. Is a good schlock fest. And Thor 2's third act is a schlock fest. Like, it is just ridiculous. Wormholes and gravity shifts, and everything's just going nuts.
I did love that. I love the wormhole part.
And I completely forgot how silly the end of Thor 2 is. It's sillier than anything I think in any other Marvel movie.
It's almost comparable to the AntMan
Guardian.
fight scenes where he's
on the toy train.
yeah, where he's small and they're fighting and it's big and then they zoom out and it's like
Yeah, but Ant-Man is pretty goofy throughout, whereas Thor 2 is serious for
Yeah.
most of it. And then all of a sudden it just takes a turn and goes goofy.
but that's the fight scene
Yeah.
because he's fighting Malakath and just popping into all these
Yeah.
hilarious places.
And I love movies that all of a sudden take a turn to insane and the goofy and the crazy. I love that. I know a lot of people don't like that. I fucking love that. Especially if it's at the end. So Thor 2, I forgot all about that. And I was like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. And so it's pretty much all boils down to that third act. The first two acts aren't great. But the third act
It's a
is
sequel.
It's a sequel. But the third act is goddamn good.
I looked up the word schlock. And Urban Dictionary says it's a verb usually used passively to get schooled or housed or assaulted or just beaten outright.
It doesn't really fit.
That I've heard the term used by other people.
I've heard Schlockfest.
Yeah.
It's just
It's just never used.
In people who make movies and critique movies that aren't just scrub lords, it is used.
Scrub Lords must be another one of those words.
Oh, I know
used at a
Scrub Lord.
Schlockfest.
I don't scrub lord.
No, we can infer the meaning of Scrub Lord.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Pleb.
I am sorry. Well, I'd say just my main reason of ranking Thor above Thor 2 is just because Thor 2 is still very similar to Thor 1, where just the way it's put, I don't know, just the way the movie is. Nothing really like specific, but with Thor 1, the way the movie is surprised me, where Thor 2, it didn't surprise me because I already knew what Thor 1 was like.
Gotcha.
And it had that already like comedic side to it that you weren't expecting, and still with all the badass action and everything. And then Thor 2, it did have all that same stuff, just in a different way, but it was just no longer surprising.
Right. That makes
so that's
sense.
probably why I ranked it higher at the time, because I tried to stay consistent with these and rank them right after. I was like, I wasn't expecting that. Sure, it's going up there. Like,
Yeah, I completely understand why we would rank Thor above Thor 2. It takes a select breed of person that prefer Thor 2, I think. Yeah, that's definitely the unpopular opinion.
And the last thing that I forgot to mention, just as long as we're still there, I said they wasted Christopher Eccleston. Loki is my favorite villain in the whole series. And I know Josh kind of mentioned, he's still around. Why isn't he doing anything? He's laying low. Well, that's because I think Loki not only has a hidden agenda, but I feel like he still has some part to play in terms of like a Gollum Smeagol kind of way, where he has his own agenda.
yes.
And it's going to be good for the good guys.
It's
It's good for the good guys as long as their motives align, but the second that there's a fork in the road, Loki's going to become a problem again. Personally, I think that he's impersonating Odin in order to save him. I think that it's a bold prediction. Like, he's found his redemption in Thor 2. And big bad Thanos is going to show up on Odin's door. He's going to destroy Odin, but it's not going to be Odin because Odin is going to be needed in the fight to come. That's just a prediction that I have, and that Loki's going to be there to save him in that way.
Die.
Or pull one of his, actually a hologram. Like, and they address that too. Will you ever not fall for that, brother? Like, I love him as a villain because I don't know.
He's got complexity to him, unlike most villains.
He's got complexity, and I mean, if I had to live with pre-Thor Thor for God knows, Odin knows how long they've been alive, I'd probably be a little bit messed up too. Because
Chris Hemsworth is perfect.
Chris Hemsworth is perfect, and he's a little bit of a bitch with his attitude. So Loki has reason to be a little bit messed up, and not to mention circumstances of his birth, the way he had to find out.
He actually is not. He's a blue dude. He's an ice.
He's a frost giant.
He's a frost giant.
And you know, when you have a villain that strong and that complex, I'm always gonna have a preference to something like that. A preference for something like that in comparison to.
He's not just your typical like, oh, I'm a superpower, like,
villain of the week,
very strong. What's his face? Guardians of the Galaxy villain.
Ronan.
Like,
Ronan.
I'm not just like this big force that is going to take a lot to get overtaken and then eventually gets overtaken because it's a superhero movie.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Joker or the Riddler.
Yeah, he's someone who's not going to go away after one fight.
Yeah, and he messes with your mind. It's not about brute force. He finds a way to make you beat you. Like, he planned for Thor to go absolutely insane and get himself banished or killed. He planned all of that methodically. That is really good.
Yeah.
But of course the hero has to prevail. So, you know, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But I like Loki as well.
He's by far the best villain, I think.
What if the series would just end with the good guys losing?
Infinity Wars 1 or
That'd be
whatever.
hilarious.
That's the last one.
Infinity War Part 1.
I would
series gets
applaud
canceled. Thanos wins.
Oh.
I would be so happy just because no one would expect it.
I would be so mad for like a month, and then I'd be like,
I can appreciate this.
all right,
I can live with it.
ballsy.
Get me this far and then just fuck.
Fuck you guys. They just have the director just
20,
double middle fingering at the end of the movie just to the movie theater.
20 plus movies and just canceled it. Like right before the very last movie.
Oh man.
That's all I have.
Anybody else got anything you want to talk about?
Go ahead.
Future movies.
Doctor Strange, next one. I'm very excited for it.
I know nothing about anything that's coming after now, so I don't know what's going on.
Thor 3 is also very exciting.
Ragnarok is
Jeff Goldblum.
That's gonna be Gladiator in space.
Oh man, that's gonna be
I'm excited for the Schlock Fest.
Yeah, that's gonna be
that I
Schlock,
expect
man.
that to be.
That's gonna be
You don't put Jeff Goldblum in space unless it's going to be a ridiculous movie.
Independence Day.
Independence Day, he was only in space for a little while, and then he said, "Must
Count
go
it.
faster.
Let's go faster.
Must go faster."
Yeah.
So I'm ready for Thor Ragnarok. I am way too psyched for that movie.
Yeah, me too.
But not like the expectations up here. I am so excited to have my expectations right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right where they belong.
Yep.
Like Thor, I'm so
Fair.
excited for Ragnarok to be like my 7th favorite Marvel movie.
I was just gonna say, good old 7th place expectation.
I can't wait to put it like right behind Iron Man 1 and right above Iron Man 3. Like,
It's gonna be great.
can't wait.
It's very fair. Yeah.
Yep.